Why I love America, and you should too. I'm just going to read you this paragraph. Look, man, all these social justice warriors and butterflies or whatever, man, you guys, you live in such a false reality. I don't know. Literally, I don't understand. All you Antifa fools, that just is, it's nuts to me. That doesn't mean you have to America, love it or leave it. I've never been like that. I frankly don't care if you burn the flag. I don't like it, but you have a right to do that. I got no problem with that. I mean, I don't like it, but the idea that America in of itself is bad, like AOC and these crazy clowns are saying, it's America is good. Its people are good. It's the destination of every single living soul other than tyrants and the bureaucracies that feed those tyrants and humanity. And not to see that if you live here is the privilege of it's just nuts. The amount of privilege you have to sit there and just chastise America. Oliver Stone, being buddies with Hugo Chavez, what's his name? Sean Penn down there with Chavez. Just never mind these guys, partnering now with Evo Morales in Bolivia. Just these guys are utter fools. I'm sure Lula will win back in Brazil and bring a Marxist dictatorship there, as did Ortega in Nicaragua. And none of these guys are going to move down there. None of these spoiled brats in America are going to move there. As much as I can't stand the Black Panther, whatever that lady is, Asada, where they say Asada taught me whatever her name is, I can't stand her. But at least she did live in Cuba. All right. I mean, as much as I can't stand these people who hate America internally, I mean, some of these guys do move to Cuba to live under the communist dictatorship. I find it nuts, but at least they got, they walk the walk. They walk the talk, whatever. So let me read this to you from my man, Roberto. One of these days I'm going to practice roll my R's. I'm watching the lady today. She goes, you say, from Italian, she goes, you say, vorrei. So you say it like, so vorrei is some word in Italian, and she's like, that's how she taught herself. Vorrei. You keep saying that, and I can feel my tongue. I can feel it almost there. I was walking Pablo the other night. He said, night, I didn't know when he was around. I kept doing that. Vorrei. And I look up, there's some lady across the street. Looked at me, she walked away like, that guy's gone crazy. All right, so let me read my man, Roberto. See, I can't do it, man. I'm white as they can be, but I think some white people can roll their R's, right? I mean, I'm not a Southern Italian or Southern European like those Italians. And that is a beautiful language, no other way around. I'm not like that, but I'm Northern European. And maybe it's genetic. Northern Europeans can't roll our R's. I don't know. I know I can't. You don't hear too many people from the Northeast rolling their R's. All right, be it as it may. Let's talk about Roberto. He's 36 years old. He was born without democracy, so it's hard to even imagine something different. If the books, teachers, TV, radio always tells you how good we are and how evil Americans and capitalism is, but I was lucky. I had my dad to open my eyes. I'm reading this verbatim. I escaped Cuba after 21 years in 2005. Habana to San Salvador and traveled by ground crossing Guatemala and Mexico, where I was put in prison for being illegal. They were going to deport me, my friend. I did nothing but crying for 3 days and so angry with live in life, and again, this in general, and how even destiny was against me. I passed 10 days there in Guatemala prison, or Mexican prison, because he was going to deport him back. I passed 10 days there, and it was raining all the time until local government had to use the immigration prison to save their people, and they gave me 72 hours to leave the country. I understood how lucky I was and how big God is. Kept traveling to Matamoros, which is the Texas border, and after an interview with a border patrol officer, they gave me a parole. Still remember what he told me. He touched my shoulder and said, "Welcome to the United States." I left the port of entry running happy as I'd never been, kissed the flagpole, and came to Arizona. I still live in the beautiful state of Arizona. I managed to bring my parents, and we were all happy and thankful for this country. And every time someone complains about the country or blames the system for their mistakes, my blood boils. But at the same time, I feel sorry because they don't know what they have, and they ignore the sacrifice of the soldiers of this country. made to keep us and fight the communists. Please excuse my English and the length of this email, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate. I'll answer. If we can change one person's thinking, it'll be worth it. Man, don't thank me, Roberto. I'll take a freaking, man, if we had 10 Robertos, I'd take them over 100 people at Harvard right now. I'd take 10 Robertos over freaking the whole damn staff at Harvard. Man, can you just, jeez Louise. What, it scares me because affluence can ruin lives. This is just going back to Jesus. When you're affluent, you think you don't need God. But here's a guy, and do you think Roberto, it's like, I tell you before about the book I read as a short story, Lazarus Laughed. I think I might have it back there. I don't want to find it right now. But can you imagine Roberto going through that and waking up every day like he's ready to freaking conquer the world, man. He's like, I am here. There's nothing that's holding me back except for me. Yeah, government regulations, I get that. All that sucks. But Alberto's going to the meek shall inherit the earth. And here's a guy who's going to, there's nothing to hold, he's got nothing to lose. And yet, let's just say you're some spoiled brat. You go to Exeter up there in New Hampshire, these private schools because your parents said, I need you to go to Exeter. I need you to go to Harvard or whatever. Like, what is that show, Gilmore Girls? I didn't watch. My daughter was telling me about these girls. They go to these prep schools in Connecticut so they can go to, Ivy League schools. And, just the target on their back that their parents put on there, that you have to be this elite, upper crust, just in liberal, of course. They're just a better society than the rest of us. Man, it saddens me and it sickens me how people just take it for granted how good they have it here. And it's not just liberals though. It's Americans generally speaking just wasting the opportunity they have. On Facebook, on Twitter. I mean, look, man, I know people on Facebook who are fighting a good fight. And they're doing it right. I couldn't do that because I get too ingrained and too argumentative. So I had to get off it. There are some people able to deal with that the addiction level, essentially, which what Facebook was for me. I couldn't get on Twitter. I was just reading a freaking thing today from Matthew Dowd, who's one of Bush's speechwriters, who said about Elise Stefanik, who's a congresswoman from New York. He said, this is why we shouldn't just elect women just for the sole sake of being a woman to Congress. And this guy, Matthew Dowd, is a freaking far lefty now. He's just a Looney Tune. I don't know what happened. I do know what happens. They get suckered into the DC scene. I get that. It happens all the time with Kasich, Joe Scarborough, all these guys. They fall. Look, man, I get it. I get it. They get suckered into the DC scene and they make them feel superiority complex. But I'm sitting there thinking, why? It's just a sexist thing to say because at least Stefanik, no one voted for her because she's a woman. I imagine some people did. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's just a sexist thing to say because she's been on this thing with the DOJ and the FBI and CIA for a long time now, and she's been kicking butt and taking names, saying we're going to come to the bottom of this because there's a lot of corruption going on in DC, and we're going to come to the bottom of it. So the idea that a guy like Matthew Dowd would say. You shouldn't. This is what an example of someone who just got elected because she's a woman. I said she. Anyway, so he got hammered on Twitter. But that's the thing with Twitter. It's just it's mind-numbingly stupidity where people. And I like the fact that we know that Matthew Dowd's a scumbag. I like that. I like the fact that we know these guys are scumbags. I got no qualm with that. It calls them out. More power. Shine the disinfectant in the life on all these media elitists and the superiority complex. But then I go back to my man Roberto here. I'm saying. He's not going to waste his life on Twitter. He's not going to waste his life on Facebook. He's out there doing stuff with a shovel, with freaking, a 12-volt battery, with a solar panel. I don't know what it is. He's out there kicking butt and taking names, and we should all follow his mode and say, so what I'm saying is If you're sitting your crappy old grind at corporate America in your cube, you're saying, "Oh, woe is me." Regardless if you're a big fat liberal or not, you're just like, "Woe is me, man. The boss, man. I got my wife was telling me she's got a review today and she's fine." But I was like, just the complete waste of time that these quarterly or annual reviews or whatever they are at work is just nuts. I was like, she goes, "Yeah, but you have to do it or else, they say, I don't know." Look, I was there. I remember when I was at USA, it's like, "Oh, we have to do this." I literally, everybody hates them. They don't do any good for anybody. We all know that. But it's the way HR can maintain their authority over the working people at the company. Oh, just painful. How much time and energy we're wasting on this. And yet, it was Roberto. He's like, dude. So this is why I look at it for me. Well, I'm so glad I won the Army. Look, that's a poor kid for me. And I wasn't anywhere as like this, my man Alberto here. Not at all. Um, Not at all. But at the end of the day, I still had 3 meals, right? I never sat in a jail for 10 days in Mexico getting ready to be ported back to a Cuban uh, tyrannical regime who's brutalizing women in white, the ladies in white, pregnant women walking down the street to protest that their husbands are put in the jail and they get beaten by the Cuban cops while they're pregnant. Yeah, where's freaking Me Too, or not Me Too, the feminists? Where's Jane Fonda? Nowhere to be found there. Sitting on a damn tank in freaking Hanoi, freaking scumbag. I despise that. Anyway, you okay there, big man? Anyway, so I know, but until I went in the Army, I did not realize how good I had it. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I was an angry kid. Woe was me, but I didn't know how good I had it. So I go down there and we go to El Salvador, or not El Salvador. We went to Honduras, Panama, and you're like, even Germany. I mean, we went to Germany, and I was like, even this, a number of times, you're like, these people, it ain't all it's cracked up to be, that's for sure. And I'll just never forget, man, come back and say, yeah, we got it pretty good here. And then, but still, it's easy to get sucked into the tried and true of just going to job every day, slaving away at your crappy old job, not being challenged. Alberto, you are man. You are the man, my friend. I'm glad. I will take, like I said, a million. Pablo, I'll take a million. Pablo can teach me how to roll my R's. I'll take a million Albertos, and I'll take those from Venezuela. I'll take them man. I will take them 100 times out of 100. I'll take them from freaking Nicaragua. I'll take them from Mexico. I'll take them from anywhere if they're coming here to work, but I'm not going to take them if they're coming here to be voters on the dole, which is what the Democrats want to do. No, we have a right to say we need people who are going to make our country better. And my man here is one of them, without question. And the vast majority of immigrants are, by the way. And as a libertarian, I love it. I love the fact that people want to come here. But I want them to come here to work hard and take advantages of the freedoms that we have, that you and I are squandering every day. Because you know what's going to happen, man. 100 years from now, hell, maybe even sooner. There's no stopping the left. Ultimately, they will win out. I firmly believe that. It's sad to say, but I don't. There's no stopping because their religion, their ideology, is forcing you to get on your knees or up against the wall. Ultimately, now that might sound kind of pessimistic, it might dystopian, but I mean, look, if you follow the path of the left-wing tyrants, if you follow the path on the keyboard, if you follow them, this is what happens time and again. And they, now they've assumed control, but they play the long game, and they've assumed control of everything. Now, I think at some point that the mockery of these guys where they're anti-clapping, I think at some point, I think the hope is that they might have gone so far that the not the millennial generation, but the ones that are underneath them are saying, "Now this is nuts," and they're going to come back and say, "We don't want that crap. This is too much." I don't know though. I don't know, because at the end of the day, authority rules, man. And if you're an authority, people they kowtow to authority. They do. They appeal to authority. The tyranny of the minorities, in terms of not the minority skin color, no, it's a minority thought process, the minorities on college campuses, the minority in the media, the minority in the established liberal elite, they still dictate things. And my pessimism is that, it's, even though we fight the battles, we fight, they're going to win out, man. What did I just read about California? That they're mandating you have to have vaccinations for everybody. It's not homeschools yet, but you have to have them. And if you don't, you essentially can't step outside. And then somehow that doesn't frighten people, which it frightens me to no end. And yet some people are like, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Because that's what they do. They say only a Looney Tune would find that scary. And yet, I guess I'm a Looney Tune because I find that absolutely frightening. And that's just beginning. What they do is they say, oh, only Looney Tunes are against mandating vaccines. You're like, well, I'm against mandating vaccines, so I must be a Looney Tune. Yes. And then even people who normally agree with you, libertarian-minded people say, well, I want to make sure I'm safe. And so if that's what it takes to ensure my safety, then I'm all for basically, putting that guy into friggin' a cage, into a labor camp, essentially, as what they did with the Japanese internment camp, as they did with the Japanese and I think even Italians, right, back then. Anyway, so I love you, brother. I love that you're here. You are a brother in Christ, and at the end of the day, we know how the story ends. So I'm pessimistic. I'm not pessimistic for the world because I know one day we will join hands and before God, and we'll sing His glory, and we'll have we'll have such a glorious eternity. It's we can't even begin to understand the level of joy that we'll find. And so I'm pessimistic about the earth, but I'm absolutely optimistic about the eternity, which is I'll take that any other week. All right, thanks. We'll see you.